This picture painting is about Hanukkah. It is like the kind of bottle with oil that was sufficient for 8 days. I don't know if bottle is the right word, but I cannot remember a better word now for now in English. In Hebrew, it is called the pach shemen, and it was sufficient for 8 days in the temple in Hanukkah. It is a painting that I did many years ago too, and kind of I don't know if it's so abstract because the shape is obvious if you look properly. So anyway, this is another painting of mine. The colors are much nicer in reality. I don't know why this cellular camera is so giving her own interpretation to what I am doing. Anyway, I want to tell you what I believe in. Not believe. Believe is not the right word because I believe means I can believe A and I can believe in B just because I believe. Believe has to be established on something. It cannot be proven because it is not a belief anymore, but it has to have some background that gives you a certain conclusion. And this is what I call a belief. As a scientist, actually my faith, kind of religious faith, started from my scientific studies. Because when you study all the very complex mechanisms in biochemistry and molecular biology and immunology and physiology, it is so amazing. It is simply so amazing. So many complex systems in all levels have to be controlled and also cooperating one with each other. This is so amazing. This was part one in my becoming aware to what is beyond. By the way, I jumped to another painting of mine, which is actually the awakening woman, from the earth and sea. And again, I will try to catch it as one picture, more or less. It's difficult to do. But I think you can see how this woman emerges from the nature, from the earth and from the sea. But here it is more from the earth and its component. And you can see here a kind of leg, I think. And here is the, how do you say tachat in English? Buttocks, bottom, and her left hand, it is from behind, from her back. Here's the sky and the sun. Here is her head and her right hand that is making kind of a gesture toward the nature. And here you can interpret it as a knee of the second leg, but also as a mountain. It is all one creation. And I'm talking about creation rather than evolution, although I do think there is also evolution. However, there is not only evolution. I think Darwin was a genius in his research, and he really had shown us the process, but it is only part of the process. And I believe that if he lived in our days and knew what we know now in science and biology, molecular biology, about the DNA, things that we did not know 60 years ago, it was hardly discovered, and not to mention biochemistry. 100 years ago, 200 or 300 years ago, the concept did not exist yet. The terms were not known yet. Oh, here is the left hand of the awaking woman. By the way, I see the illness also in this picture, but I don't want to bother you too much with my personal problems. I covered my signature because I cannot reveal my real name in public yet for some personal reasons. Anyway, after this, after becoming aware and recognizing that there must be something that kept all these structures together, you must put energy in it, because otherwise it contradicts the second law of thermodynamics of increasing entropy in a system where that goes its natural way. If it was only nature, there was only increasing of entropy. To create a living creature, even a virus, even a bacteria, and even a single cell creature, it demands a lot of energy putting in. To create a human being, I don't know how someone can think it is only nature and not something that is driving this nature and creating it beyond. So I do believe in God, and I do believe that all the world is one, and I think that we know very little from what really exists. Science is still limited. Although we know much more details than we knew many years ago, but and it is the rate of accumulating data is exponential. Still, our knowledge is limited, and what we think that we know is quite an illusion. By the way, the description in the Bible, and when I'm talking about the Bible as a Jew, I mean the Torah and the Hebrew Bible, yes, does not contradict the concept of evolution. If you notice, the process of creation is divided to some days, which can be interpreted also as periods, not just days, but it is not made in one piece. I mean, God, after all, or the Almighty, could do it in 1 second. Why should He create first the light? And it is not the light that we think, because the sun and the moon were created according to the story only in day 4. It is something else. It is kind of quality that is called in Hebrew, in Judaism, it is called Or Haganuz Letzadikim, which means the hidden light within that the righteous one can become closer to. This is the meaning of the light that was created in day 1 by the story. Anyway, we cannot perceive God as it really is, same as the bacteria in our intestine cannot perceive the human being that we are. The bacteria in our intestine knows that I don't know what it knows, but it can hardly perceive that it is living on a cell of intestine, not to mention what is going through this intestine and feeds this bacteria, whatever. And certainly it cannot know that it is part of, this intestine is part of me, and that I am a person, a human being that is going in the world. In the same way, we humans cannot perceive God, its greatness, and because our senses are limited. You cannot ever prove and see more than what your senses let you perceive. That is the reason why we cannot prove or disprove that there is God or there is not God. The second part in my development was through some personal experiences, and I had what we call kind of mystic experiences. I don't think it is mystic. By the way, this is another painting of mine, which is called the clown of the yard, the clown of the, yes, the kind of institution, I don't know. And it is a painting of mine only with a pencil. It was supposed to be a cover for a book. I hope you can see something. And again, the smiling sun, which I love always. I live in a sunny country. The flying fish around, everything. I like a bit surrealism. Reality is not always showing what is beyond. So I like to look beyond, and that means that I'm interested also in parapsychology, but not in the kind of I don't know how to say it. I think it is part of reality that we simply don't perceive, or perceive in very short glimpses sometimes. Thank you very much for listening and watching. I stop now and continue in the next vid.